Which tool is best for cutting out long 1 inch wide strips of wood? They need clean edges and they need to be exactly 1 inch wide. So you have like a longer board and you want to cut out strips of wood that look like this. So you're cutting like you have a piece like this and you're cutting this way. You're going with the grain, cutting this direction. Which machine would be best for that? The table saw, planer, jointer, or scroll saw? So, and if you guys can't see the machines, let me know. As far as I know, it's showing this. So speak up. You should be seeing a picture of the table saw because again, the hard thing here is not supposed to be what's it called. So table saw, planer, jointer, scroll saw. So would you take it over to the table saw? Would you take it to the planer if you want to cut out a long strip? This guy? Would you take it over to the jointer? This guy? Or would you take it to the scroll saw? Which one will let you cut out like this, like you're cutting strips out of this? Which one would be best? Again, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I want, as long as you understand, like, oh, okay, I get what he means. That's the goal. So which one would be best for that? If you grab a 2x4 and you want to make it thinner, make it into like a 1x4, then what tool would be the best for that? So let me pull up my video here. Would it be the table saw, a scroll saw, a spindle sander, or a planer? So let me. And again, if you don't see something I'm talking about. So over there on the right, you guys see, whoops. You guys see what I'm pointing at there? So you're making it thinner that way. So the 2x4 is like 1.5 inches thick. You want to take material off of the top and make it thinner. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. I can hold up a board here in real life. So you're trying to like make it thinner that way. Which tool would be best for that? Would it be best to use the table saw, scroll saw, spindle sander, or the planer? Again, if you're ever unsure which is which, it's all in here. Okay. All right, when using the miter saw, if your right hand turns the tool on, where is your left hand? So again, if anybody forgets, this guy is the miter saw. So your right hand goes up on the trigger to run it. Where is your left hand? Is it down there close to the blade? Is it holding the board down on the table? Is it behind your back? Or it doesn't matter? So where is your left hand when you're running the miter saw? Where's your left hand located? And if anybody's not sure, like, what does he mean by close to the blade? Let me know. One answer is clearly much better than all the rest. When using the table router or any machine where your fingers are close to the blade, I mean, this one, it doesn't really matter if you know which one the table router is, but hey, just in case so everybody's on the same page, the table router was this guy. If I'm doing that or using the table saw or the band saw, anything where my fingers are going to be close, what should you do? Use a push stick, wear big heavy gloves, cut slowly when your fingers are in danger. So run your fingers past the blade, but slow down just to be safe. Or ask someone to watch while you cut and your fingers get close to the blade. Which one is the best option? Push stick, heavy gloves, just slow down but cut by the blade anyway, or ask someone to watch while your fingers go close to the blade for safety. Again, if anybody's like, I don't understand the question, speak up. It shouldn't be the hard. What does a jig do in woods? It's another term for rough cutting a board. It's something made out of any hardwood. It's a board cut into like even sized pieces, or it holds a piece of wood in position when you're cutting it or gluing it. What does a jig do in woodworking? Considering we're allowed to use the internet, that one might be kind of a gimme, but still, what I'm asking, speak up. Which option will remove wood most quickly? A vibrating sander with medium, a belt sander with low grit, sanding by hand with a high grit, or a belt sander with a high grit. And before somebody asks, what do I mean by a high grit? I mean like 300 grit, 240, like a high number. Okay. What do I mean by low grit? Like 50 or 60 grit. That's a vibrating sander. Put this guy on screen. See that yellow thing I'm holding? Those are the ones where you put a hand on top and it just vibrates. That's it. So you put a square of sandpaper on the bottom and it just vibrates. So that's a vibrating sander. And then a belt sander. Whoops, let me go back. That's a belt sander. So that blue one, he's the one where he had the belt that went all the way around it. So which is faster? One of the little ones with like 100 grit, a belt sander with 60 grit, sanding by hand with like a 300 grit paper, or a belt sander with 300 grit paper. That takes a while, but if you're unsure on what the question means, let me know. When finishing a project, what goes on top to protect it? We wrap it in plastic, we apply polyurethane, we put wood stain on it, or we just take a wet board and put it on top. I don't really know what to do for answer D. So plastic wrap it, polyurethane it, wood stain it, or just a wet piece of wood on top. When I say protect it, I mean protect it from incoming moisture, dust, scratches, dings, that kind of stuff. Which one will protect it? Which of the following is true about glue? You know, in high school, we don't talk about glue enough. It's really big in elementary, but we don't talk about it as much in high school. You should use a thick glue layer that freely drips down the joint. So just dump glue on there. It is much weaker than normal wood. So if you try to break it, the glue is really weak compared to wood. You should wipe the extra off or scrape it off once it's dry. So wipe it off with a wet rag or scrape it once it's dry. Or it is fully dried, cured, and full strength after 10 minutes. Only one of those is true. So which one of those is true when you're gluing stuff up? I'm talking about wood glue specifically. I'm not kidding. One time I remember college, I was in an engineering class and we spent 2 days talking about adhesives, just glue. It's actually really interesting. But anyway, if you're cutting something on the table saw and you're not sure about what guide to use, you should always use the fence. Cut it freehand, meaning no guides. You just run it through with your hands. Always use the miter gauge or ask the teacher for help. So that one's might be fairly obvious to you, but again, there's the table saw. The fence is the white board up there that says saw stop. The miter gauge, we used one that was blue. That's a black one. It fits in that little slot and slides along. Freehand is just cutting with no guides at all. Or you should ask me to come over and double check your setup. So you're not sure. What is the smart move? And then last but not least, what do you wear all the time without exception in the wood shop? Every single video, I've been wearing something that's obviously super cool looking. I always have them on. Everybody always wears, yes, flip-flops. That's right. Open-toed shoes. Always be sure to wear highly flammable clothing too, right? No, but what have I always worn? If you don't know exactly the right term, just describe what it does. I'll take a variety of answers there. So there's actually at least 2 that are both correct. I would accept more.